Hello, welcome to Life Coaching on the Move. I'm Dawn, your host, your coach, your trainer, and podcaster and YouTube. Welcome along. I'm so pleased that you're here today. I'm not just pleased, I'm actually really grateful as well. And maybe I don't say this often enough, particularly those who follow me regularly. I have been doing this now almost a year and a half-ish. And I'm loving it, and I'm loving hearing from you about particular episodes that you've really enjoyed and what it's meant to you and how it's helped you. So I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for your kind feedback, and thank you for your ongoing commitment and loyalty. Today we are talking about not taking things personally and how to avoid doing that. I think that can help all of us at some point or another. So we're going to cover that today. As always, visit the website www.milestone-coaching.co.uk. There is all sorts going on there, but in particular this time of year, if you're listening to this in real time, it's Christmas shopping time. So why not give a gift to your loved one that can have a really lasting impact? It really can mean that they hit 2021 with a real focus, with real strength, with real determination. They can focus on whatever they want to focus on, and mean that they're going to have a really strong start to the year. And gosh, don't we need that? We have had such a trying, challenging year, and I am so optimistic that next year is going to be incredibly improved from this year. Can't get much worse, I think. So let's give your loved ones not bubble bath or soap or socks or the usual things. Give them something that could make a real difference. So the vouchers are there, and you can treat yourself if you would rather. And you know that I always say you've got to look after yourself as well in order to be able to look after those you love too. So that would be a selfless act, I think. Anyway, let's crack on with this week's episode of how to not take things personally on Life Coaching on the Move. Today we're talking about the subject of how to not take things personally, because when we do take things personally, we soak it up, we carry it around, we let it get inside, and actually it can be really, really painful. It can be really detrimental. I've had clients where it's affected their sleep, it's affected their digestion, it's affected their concentration, it's certainly affected their happiness. It's taken over their mindset or their thoughts. It can be completely all-absorbing. And why do we let that happen? Because one throwaway line or one interaction with one particular person and a comment that they make can have such an impact. And do we want that to happen? Do we want to allow that to happen? Do we want to allow our power to be robbed? Because that's what we're doing. We're allowing them in, their comment in, and we're giving away our power and letting our emotions be dragged along, affected, impacted. We're losing control in a way because we're losing sleep, we're losing our digestion, etc., etc., from one throwaway line or an interaction, or perhaps something they didn't say or something like that. So we are giving away our power. And would we do that if we knew that's what it was, if we called it that, if we had to package it, put it in an envelope and hand our power over to somebody? And sometimes it's strangers. Sometimes it's a stranger that said something in a shop, or just a mere acquaintance, somebody that's not significant in our life, or maybe somebody that we've had a interaction with in the car, at a junction or something like that. They've shouted at us or they've given hand gestures or something like that. Sometimes it's somebody that's not even significant in our life that we're giving that power away to. And sometimes, or most of the time, they're not even aware. So we've given away our power to someone that doesn't even know they've got it. They've driven on, or they've walked off from the shop, or they've left work or wherever, or that scenario, forgotten about it, busy thinking about their own things, their own lives, their own commitments, and we're left empty or full, in fact, of pain, anguish, upset, hurt. It's not nice. It's really not a nice feeling. Equally, if even more so, perhaps if it's a loved one, then that can be even worse, because we're going to see that loved one because they're very important to us. So it can be even worse when it is somebody significant in our life. Because that's somebody we've invested emotion with, we've invested time with, we've got history with, we've got expectations of, because the difference between a stranger and a throwaway line or a loved one is we've got a lot of baggage with that person. We've got expectations, we've got unspoken rules, we've got dynamics of that relationship, we've got a power situation going on that has never been spoken about, never been voiced, but there will be a dynamic there. There will be some kind of, at times, seniority. Maybe it's parents or a boss, or it may be you with your children. So there's all sorts of possible dynamics going on. So the pain can be related to who it is, and it can be related to what it was. But equally, it can just be a stranger and just a throwaway line, equally as painful. So when I'm sat here thinking, blimey, it is quite surprising that we don't have it more often when you think about how many people come into our lives at any one time. The risk is this could be happening potentially all the time. And actually, joking apart, for some people it is, because there's something in them, in their resolve, in their inner strength that is more sensitive. That allows it in, allows that to happen, allows their power to be given. They give away their power and their emotion and control. So this may happen more to some of us than others. But it will happen to all of us at some point. We all know what this feels like. It's not alien to some people. It's happened to each and every one of us, some much more than others. So it's not a nice feeling. We probably all relate to it. You probably all understand what I'm talking about. You've probably got a memory of one now, a scenario, a situation. And thinking about that scenario or that situation, was it, now that you've distanced yourself in time and some years have gone by or some months have gone by, was your emotion and your response to it balanced and equal to the actual scenario, the actual thing that was said? Because it may well be that when you look back, it may well be that they just said, "Oh, I'm not sure I like that colour on you," or it may have been something small that you took real offence and hurt from. And so, hand on heart, now that you're over it and now it's behind you, was your reaction appropriate and in perspective with the actual situation and the comment? Or in hindsight, when you look back, did you overreact? In fact, when you look back, did they actually mean and know that they'd hurt you? So what we need to do is to take a non-emotional view of it. Look back on it now and think, A, did they mean to hurt you? Did they mean to impact on you? Did they mean to upset you? What was their intention? Was there an intention there at all? Because sometimes when we look back, we'll realise actually they didn't mean to hurt me. There was no intention. There was no planning of it. And why did I react so much? Or you may look back and think, yes, there was. They had planned it, or they did mean to hurt me. They were angry or whatever. So see it from a bird's eye view now. Distance yourself from it. I've said this before. It's disassociate from the emotion if you can for a bit, and pretend that you are hovering over the situation as a third person, a separate person, not you, someone else. Hover over it and watch that scenario as a bystander. Did they have any intention of hurting you beforehand? Did you react in a balanced way? Was it appropriate, the extent of your reaction and your hurt to the scenario? As a third person, a bystander hovering over it, do you feel, yes, they did mean it, or no, they didn't? Yes, I did react appropriately, or no, actually, I blew it completely out of proportion. Because it's like so many other things that we cover on this podcast. By looking back and reflecting, we can learn from it. The other thing to do on that scenario is look back and think, was that statement, comment, situation or phrase or whatever they said, was that about me, or was it about them? So if it's that I'm not sure I like that coat, is it their stuff or is it about you? Because I'm not sure I like that stuff. It's just your coat is just their opinion, because it might be a longer coat than they would wear, or a shorter coat, or a different colour, or a different style. It's about their stuff. It's their opinion. It's not about you. It's not personal about you. And it may be that you're hurt and offended because you wouldn't say that to somebody else. But that's your stuff. That's your rule. You wouldn't say a negative comment like that because you believe you should just tell a little white lie and say, oh, it looks lovely. Oh, it's nice. Yes, it's lovely. Even though inside you're thinking, oh, no, I would never wear that. But still, it's only your opinion. So your rule in your world is your rule in your world. It's not necessarily somebody else's rule in their world. And if that's the case, if you've got a very outspoken mother, or it's often the mothers that say these things, or a best friend or whoever that says, no, don't like that. Ooh. I remember a friend coming into our house and criticising the colours that we'd painted our lounge. And I just laughed about it because they said it in such a bold... We hadn't even asked their opinion. And they just trotted it out loud and confident. And, oh, no, I don't. You're going to change these walls. And because I know that person, I know their character, it was fine. It was absolutely fine. I just laughed. Didn't bother me. It didn't make me change my opinion of the wall colour at all. But my husband was very offended by that, thought it was very rude, because that's his rules. You don't speak out, you don't say when you don't like somebody's decor or their car or their clothes or whatever. That's his rules. Now, he's not right and the person wasn't right. It's their own stuff. So sometimes, it's just two different worlds colliding, two different opinions and views and rules and standards and boundaries. Now, he could have said, I find that really offensive, and actually, unless I ask, next time, maybe keep your opinion to yourself. And he probably would have got away with that, felt better for it, dealt with it, and that may never have happened again. Certainly that person was big enough and bold enough to have taken that and would have taken that. So we can either action it and immediately just say, "Ooh, that's very rude. I didn't ask your opinion. I wish you liked it, and I'm sorry that you don't like it, but next time just keep your opinion to yourself," or whatever. But what we can do is question whether it's more about their stuff and their rules and their rudeness or their lack of boundaries or their very open-minded, outspokenness, and whether we just get a thick skin around us and think it's not me that they're attacking, it's a reflection on them being so outspoken and it's their stuff, and just like I did, just laugh about it, and it makes me laugh that person is so outspoken. But that's partly what we like about that person. and we laugh about it most of the time. So when you think back, or when you're encountering these scenarios, question yourself, is what they said more about them and their world and their rules and their boundaries, or is it about me? Because most of the time it's more about them. It's actually just their opinion, or just their stuff, or just their lack of boundaries, or whatever it is. Sometimes we can actually be grateful for their honesty, their brutal honesty. And if green isn't our colour, maybe that would help us knowing. Or if orange doesn't suit us, or whatever. So not to take offence, or to turn it round and say, oh, do you not like this coat? Why is that? What style do you think would suit me better then? Well, you're short, so you should have this, or whatever, to bring out your strong points. So they've turned that around then into a compliment. So as is often the way, it's our choice how we react. That's the thing we're in control of. We're not in control of what other people say to us, or what the world says to us, and scenarios like that. We can't control others. What we can control, however, is how we react. Now, we can either see ourselves protected, some kind of shield or something, and think, well, I'm just not going to let that in, and take a step back, and not let their opinion in, and see yourself as protected, and realize that they're not out to get you, they're just speaking their opinion, and it's not you they're slating, it might just be your new haircut or whatever it is. Get a tougher skin if you can, because it will help you. Also, I think the reason why some of us have got lots of these examples, and some of us will really have to dig deep to try and find one, is because I think that will reflect on how much strength you've got inside. If we're a very strong, confident person, and we're very comfortable in our own skin, and we're very confident with who we are, and we like who we are, and we believe in ourselves, it often doesn't matter what other people say. We can let it bounce off us. So the analogy I'm drawing here, as I look out of the window, is a large, strong tree that's got a nice thick bark, very strong roots. It's a very sturdy tree, can withstand the storms. But a new little sapling tree, heavy rains and some real storms, it may well be delicate, sensitive, and not be able to withstand the storms or the snow, the weight of the snow, if we have a big downpour of snow, things like that. So in terms of being able to let these things go and not take them personally, if we're strong inside and we've got strong resolution and belief in ourselves, then it won't affect us. So what we can do in order to stop taking things personally is to work on ourselves. Work on your inner strength, your inner belief. Work on who you are. Work on feeling confident, building your confidence. Get strategies to increase your confidence, your self-belief, your resolve. See yourself as that tree, putting roots down and getting a nice, strong, protective bark around you. Look after you. And that will stop you allowing other people's opinions and comments to penetrate and affect and drag you down. And it will prevent you from giving them the power over your emotions. So if I were to say anything, then it would be to work on yourself. Notice by looking back on how it's affected you and why it's affected you and what how it's manifested itself, and now going forward learn how to protect yourself and believe in you. The stronger you are, the less it will affect you, the less the world can get in, the less you'll laugh about it or you'll shrug it off or whatever. Also, the other question to ask yourself is, when somebody said something and it's affected you and you're stewing over it and you're anguishing over it and everything, ask yourself the question, is there anything I can do about this? Because you have the choice. You can either talk to them about it and address it, or you can let it go. Or is there something else you can do about it? You know, if it's bothering you that much, say they say something about your weight or something like that. Is there some truth in it? If it's affecting you, why is it affecting you? Is there any element of truth in it whatsoever? Because if they've said something about your weight or your hair or your productivity or your performance at work or the presentation you gave or just who you are or whatever, there could be a million things that's upset you, or somebody said that it's upset you. Dig deep. If there's any element of truth to it, then maybe that's why it's affecting you so much, because it's hit a chord. It's hit a sore note. And if it has, then maybe it was a badly wrapped gift. And it means perhaps this is an opportunity for you to address it. If it's really, really bothered you about your presentation style or your work or your weight or whatever the subject is, then maybe now is the time to do something about it. And that can happen, can't it? It can be that years later, when we've got fit or we've slimmed down or we've sorted our image out or we've changed job or we've found something we're much more attuned to and better at and more suited to, or something like that, then actually when we look back we realise, I'm glad that person said what they said, or that feedback that your boss gave you or whatever, whilst it may really upset you and you take it on personally, maybe actually it needed to be said and it was a gift. So the other question to ask is there any truth in this? And if there is, what can you do about it? Is there anything you can do to action it and take something from it? If the answer is no, there's no element of truth in it, and no, there's nothing I could and would do about it, then you have to let it go. It's not serving you. Don't give them the power. It's not useful. So it's not there for any purpose whatsoever. So don't let it affect you and drag you down, because that is wasted energy. It's not going to stir you into change and improvement. And it's only going to make you feel worse by letting them in and having an effect, especially if they're strangers and they have no basis on which to say what they've said. If it's because it's that type of person, they're always doing it and it's just who they are, then the question to ask yourself is, do you want to be associated with them? Do you want to be friends around that person? If it is a very outspoken friend who does it to everybody, that person may need to know. That person you may be giving them a gift, telling them, do you know how you make other people feel? I have reached a point where I am considering perhaps not seeing you so often, but I actually don't want to do that. I want you to stop saying these things that make people feel bad or make me feel bad, in order that I can still meet up with you and enjoy your company. Or do you just want to just stay away from them? Because sometimes we have to. I think in one of my episodes before about spring cleaning and things like that, sometimes the negative people in our lives, we've just got to stay away from them, particularly when we're feeling low confidence or sensitive. So again, we're in charge. You are in the driving seat of your reactions. It may be that you choose to do something about what they've said, and it's a gift. It may be that there's nothing you want to do about it and you're going to let it go. Or it may be that you choose to confront them and deal with this and tell them, this is how you make me feel. Or it may be that you choose to stay away. But again, you are in charge of your reaction. You do not have to let this be. You're equally in charge of growing and expanding your confidence. So that these throwaway lines, if they weren't intended to hurt, they're just an opinion and they're not meant to hurt, and your friend would be devastated if they knew they'd hurt and upset you, then you need to build your own confidence and resilience and tougher skin. Keep yourself busy too. Don't let your mind just be absorbed by this. Busy yourself. Fill up your calendar. Get out. Do things. Don't dwell on it. Decide where your focus is going to be. Sorry, I just bashed my knee on the desk. So if you don't want that person to walk into your house with filthy, dirty, horrible, muddy Wellingtons on when you've just hoovered and mopped the floor, you would say, could you leave your boots at the back there because I've just done all the mopping. So don't let somebody stomp through your head with all that mud, and don't let them. Sweep it up or ask them not to come in. Or if you knew an email came through and it said in the subject heading, this is spam and it has a virus in it, would you open it? No, you wouldn't. So don't let their comments in. Don't let your mind soak it up and drag you down. Fill your mind up with other things. Don't dwell on it. Play music, play podcasts, read, get out, go and talk to other people about other things, not about this. Don't keep dwelling on it. Don't keep reliving it. Don't keep angsting over it. Just stop it. Just let it go and not let it in. Don't keep reliving it. Watch some comedy, watch something, do a hobby. Fill your life, fill your calendar, fill it with joy and happiness instead of focusing on this. So there are some tips there to stop you letting it affect you. The other thing, of course, is what's going on in their life. Put yourself in their shoes if you know what it is. So if it's somebody that you know, is there something going on in their life that's made them particularly grumpy or particularly attacking or particularly critical? Is it that someone's always doing it to them? Do they have someone in their life that's constantly criticising them and they've learnt to do it? If it's a stranger, we don't know what's going on in their world. We can guess, it may well be that they haven't thanked you for opening the door and letting them through because they've got so much on their mind and life is really presenting them with some challenges at the moment. They may have something ginormous going on in their life and they didn't even notice you were there opening the door for them. They were so dragged down by just awfulness that's going on for them. So don't take it personally. Put yourself in their shoes and consider what might be going on for them. If someone's just yelled at you in the petrol station or the supermarket and had a real go because you jumped the queue and you didn't know you jumped the queue or whatever, it could well be that they're going through some horrendous divorce or health issue or family scenario or just been sacked or something like that. We don't know. You could just be the wrong person there at the wrong time. So don't take it personally. Consider all the possible reasons that may have affected them. Don't always think this is anything to do with you. You could just be their punch bag at that time. So not only do you need to have some inner strength, you also need to show some forgiveness. Even if that person doesn't know that you're forgiving them, it's freeing for you. As always, it is so helpful to don't just listen to this, actually do something with it. Think about some times where you've taken things personally and question yourself now that you're beyond it, what you can learn from it. Are there patterns? If you can think of several scenarios, are there patterns? Do you have a tendency to always react in this way? Do you revert to going into your shell and sulking and upsetting and angsting about it for ages? Do you now realise by reflecting? Or do you get aggressive and lash out at them and it goes straight into an argument when perhaps they didn't mean for that? Do you interpret it wrongly? Do you shout at that person in the supermarket and one throwaway line becomes a big scene in front of everybody in the queue and it's embarrassing and things? Look back and see if there are patterns. And learn from it. And is it the way you want it to be? Is there anything you can take from it? Can you change anything? Can you improve it? Or do you need to grow your confidence? Do you need to grow your inner strength? So I hope that's been helpful today. Don't take things personally. It's not worth it. It's only you torturing you. Even if if they were being nasty and they meant to be nasty, it can only affect you if you let it in. People can't make us angry, can't hurt us, can't upset us unless we give them permission to do that. So don't give them the permission. Get stronger in yourself, in your own belief, and like who you are much, much more, so that these things will bounce off you. Or you'll use them as a learning to improve further and get stronger even more. So good luck. Think about it. Work on it. Don't just listen to it today and think, oh, that was interesting, and turn it off and walk away and not do anything. Actually reflect on it, maybe with your journal, with your book. Do some work on it when you're in the shower, driving along, out on a dog walk. Reflect, learn, take lessons from it, and see if there's anything that you can improve as a result for yourself. It's only you that will benefit from that and your relationships. So if you want to share your reflections, please do. I always love hearing from you. Dawn at milestone-coaching.co.uk. It'd be lovely to hear from you. As always, look at the website and you can contact me that way, www.milestone-coaching.co.uk. Loads going on the website. There are Christmas vouchers that you can treat yourself or your loved ones to. There are workshops. By the way, there's a confidence workshop starting early January, Tuesday the 5th, a 7-week program. So if this is something you would like to genuinely focus on and really concentrate on, then have a look at the workshops and sign up there. And there are also some online programs that you can sign up for and download and own and do at your own pace, in your own home, in your own time. So thank you very, very much. If this is something that you've really enjoyed and it's been helpful and you feel it could help a friend, then please do always tell them about the podcast or any particular episodes you found useful, and direct them to the podcast and get them to share, or put it on your social media and tell your friends that you're enjoying this and it might be something they would benefit from too. That would be a huge, huge Christmas present for me, and I would be massively grateful, but also for them, because it could actually help them with something that they're struggling with right now. So anyway, have a great, great week. Don't take anything personally, and I will look forward to talking to you on next week's episode of Life Coaching on the Move.